You're following all the advice, creating passion projects, networking, buying all the courses. But let me ask you something. If your dream client dropped into your inbox right now with your perfect rate, your perfect scope, would you be ready to send that client their proposal and onboard them as a client? My name is Dajit, the owner of Mocktail Creative, where I write brand messaging, strategy, and website copy for CPG, food and beverage brands. That converts, okay? I was once like you, an eager, aspiring copywriter, ready to get all the clients that I desired. And then it happened and I was stressed as hell because I wasn't prepared. I'm going to help you get all your ducks in a row so when you get that dream client in your inbox, baby, you ready to go. Let's get into it. Here are 5 things you need to consider before you book your first copywriting client. Number 1 is your onboarding process. What systems do you currently have in place to ensure you have a beautiful client experience? This may sound crazy, but what's more important is the process and the client experience than the actual work itself. Hear me out. Think of how many restaurants you went to with immaculate food, but the service was ass. That makes you never want to go back, no matter how great that food was, right? The same thing works for copywriting. Because yes, they hired you to write copy for them, but what they paid you for is for your expertise and your professionalism. And a terrible onboarding and customer service experience just looks like you don't know what the hell you're doing, okay? And we don't want that. Next is your communication strategy. What if they ask you to do something that's out of the scope that you guys agreed on? What if your client gives you feedback that goes against their target audience's wishes and needs? What if your client forgot to pay you because you didn't remind them and you just assumed that they was going to remember? Number 3 is presentation. So when you finish the first draft, are you just going to send them a document and email it to them and be like, hey, look over this and tell me what you think? How the hell you know that they know what they're looking at? What are they supposed to do with that? Number 4, lead generation. What does your lead generation strategy look like and how long have you been working on it? What platform did you decide on to make sure that you are building a consistent reputation on that platform to even get consistent clients? What if you're getting so many inquiries that you can't even take all those clients on board? What are you going to do? Just ignore them in your DM and hope that they go away and find somebody else? Sorry, I can't take you right now, bye. And lastly, 5, business boundaries and scaling. Getting your first client is very, very exciting, but what happens after that? Are you pricing yourself in a way that even allows you to stay in business? I mean, after Uncle Sam takes all your money, what are you going to have left? What happens if your client requests something outside of the original scope that you guys agreed upon? Are you setting boundaries so you don't burn out or begin to hate your business? A lot of new copywriters are desperate to say yes to everything, and that's how you end up screwed, wanting to go back to corporate America, or just saying that business ownership isn't for you. Y'all know I'm not going to leave y'all hanging, okay? We are going to work through all 5 of these points and I'm going to have very detailed solutions for you. Let's get into it. So when it comes to the onboarding process, you want to have a system in place that makes sense for your business. This does not look the same for all copywriters. Very much depends on your niche, type of copywriting work you do. It's case by case situation. What I recommend, because first impressions matter, is some type of a welcome guide, a uniform way that you welcome in and onboard all of your clients, whether that be a client portal of some sort. Maybe you do everything in email. It needs to be uniform. There needs to be a system, and the client needs to be aware that prior to them even signing the proposal, they need to know what that process is going to look like before they give you any of their money. I personally use Notion and Dubsado for all of my processing when it comes to my clients, because I find that those are much more effective. Sending 80,000 emails and trying to figure out where this document is, who said this, who said that. It's my favorite thing to do. That's just me. Next, you need to have some type of communication strategy, especially when it comes to those situations when you do have a difficult client or just the conversation itself is very difficult to navigate. For example, let's say your client gives you very vague feedbacks and says, I don't like this isn't working for me. Don't freak out and just go rewrite everything. What you need to do is you need to give them a feedback guide, meaning you write down a list of questions and you have them answer that. You never want to be in a situation where it's just a free all for them to just write any type of feedback. That's not going to be constructive. That's not going to give you any idea on how to move forward with the second draft to refine. It's just going to make everything confused, and it probably is going to it's probably going to hurt your feelings because you'll be like, oh my God, they hate everything. But you didn't really give them anything to give feedback on. You just said, here's this document with all these words, figure it out. What do you like, what you don't like? That can go anywhere, baby. Okay. So like I said, have a pre-written response templates for feedback with all the questions that make sense for the type of copy that you write, and have them answer those questions. And then at the very end, ask them something like, is there anything that you want to change? Give me as much detail as possible. You can either go as far as giving them props, do's and don'ts when it comes to their feedback. It's like, kind of like guide them, not necessarily be bossy, but some people may not know how to effectively give feedback. Next, presentation, baby. Like I said before, you cannot just give people a blank document and expect them to know what those things mean. You're the expert here, and it's your job to ensure that they understand your expertise. They understand that you know what you're talking about and why this makes sense and why maybe the ideas floating around in their head don't. So here's a great way. You can either do two things. You can do a live presentation where you, in real time, hop on some type of video call, you break down all of your copy decisions, or you do that but in a video. You send them a short video. Hey, here's the headline I chose and why I chose it, and the different types of the research I've done to come to this conclusion of why this is the best headline and why I feel like it will convert and why it's best optimized for SEO. Things like that. When you present your work to them, there needs to be a reason why you did that. You don't just give them blank words, because explaining that to them can make them be like, if I just read this, I wouldn't have really understood why you chose this versus other ideas we talked about, what I told you in my questionnaire, things like that. Be as clear as you possibly can. So either do a live presentation or some type of video of you instructing why you made these decisions. I'm telling you, the worst thing you could do is just give them a blank document and have them figure it out. Next, lead generation, or AKA marketing. It is very easy to want to get on every single social media platform, but sometimes depending on the copy you write, it may not be necessary. I personally am on Threads, TikTok, Instagram, and just started YouTube here, and all of these seem to be very effective. I'm networking a lot, I'm meeting a lot of great creatives, I've been able to get a bit of inquiries from the different channels. For you, it may make sense to strictly, go on LinkedIn, Twitter, maybe just locally in your neighborhood or your hometown where you live. That might make more sense than you going online. So you have to figure out where your ideal client is at and be there. You gotta ask ChatGPT, I write for where they at, do that. Go on Reddit. Reddit is also another really great place to find where your clients are, okay? Next, when you do figure that out, you need to be very consistent with it to kind of like ensure that you don't miss anybody, or sometimes things take time. You might tweet something about, copywriting, and then a month later, somebody who's in need of a copywriter finds it. So you gotta give it time to build a library on whatever social media platform. Maybe social media isn't the platform, but you have to be consistent with it enough. I would say give it 30 days of consistency before you kind of back up and be like, am I wasting my time? Do I need to change? What's going on here? Okay. And lastly, business boundaries and scaling. You need to protect your time and energy. If a client asks you for extra few revisions and you are capable of doing that, let them know. Cool. But this is going to push back the due date, and it's going to cost X, Y, and Z. So if you want to, we can move forward. If not, we can't do this. It's your business at the end of the day. All that trying to slip in stuff. And once you let it slide for one client, it's hard to kind of get out of that habit. So let them know ahead of time. This is why you have contracts. This is why you have a very, strict onboarding process where you let them know all this information ahead of time. Because they should have known when they asked for these extra revisions that it was going to be a little extra cost. So they're not like, whoa, where did that come from? I didn't know. You didn't say anything about that. Maybe. So make sure they know, hey, I can do these revisions, but it's going to cost you a little extra, baby. And I need that money right now. So you can set clear revision policies. So when it comes to like rush fees and your availability, do not be available to them all the time. That's the worst thing you can do. I have business hours and I'm very strict about those. Client, you can message me whatever time you want, but do not expect a response outside of those business hours, okay? Do not run your business 24/7. It's going to drive you crazy, okay? So if this made you realize, hey, I want some copywriting clients, but I may not have been ready. I may not have been in a situation where I was ready to tackle all this information. This was a lot for me. Guess what? I got more tips where this came from. So you need to be subscribed to this channel, baby. Let me know in the comments below what other things you're also not prepared for as a copywriter, okay? I want to be a resource for everybody out there, okay? This industry is so much easier to work in when you kind of have a community. So whatever copywriting questions you may have, let me know. If it's a bit extensive, maybe I'll make a video on it. Who knows? But I will see y'all in my next video. Bye.